अस्सलाम वालेकुम दोस्तों, वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल वज़ीरिस्तान एकेडमी। दोस्तों, आज जो मेरी वीडियो है वो है ग्रामेटिकलिटी का सेकंड पार्ट। उसके फर्स्ट पार्ट का जो लिंक है वो भी मैं डिस्क्रिप्शन में दे दूंगा। तो वीडियो शुरू करने से पहले आप सब लोगों से दरख्वास्त है कि मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और साथ में बेल आइकॉन भी प्रेस करें ताकि इस तरह के नए आने वाले वीडियोज़ आप तक बआसानी पहुँच सकें।
So we are going to the next aspect of grammaticality, criteria that determine grammaticality. Now, what are the things that tells us or that judge or that determine? फैसला करना, determine का मतलब फैसला करती है कि something is grammatical or something is not a grammatical. So according to Noam Chomsky is a professor of linguistics, and he is like a big name because this generative grammar and transformational grammar and all the other aspect of the recent new development in the linguistics are all like in one way or another linked or related to like his contribution. So according this Noam Chomsky is now living, I think so he's around 85 or 90 years of age, and he is a professor laureate in MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And recently this Habib University, I think so Al Habib University in Karachi, has invited him to deliver, I think so, a speech on they have like some ceremony. Okay, so let's come to the topic. According to Noam Chomsky, a speaker's grammaticality judgment is based on two factors. And if a person who is speaking a particular language, his judgment is based on two factors. Number one, a native speaker's linguistic competence, which is the knowledge that they have of their language, allows them to easily judge whether a sentence is grammatical or ungrammatical based on introspection. Now, what is meant by intuition? I told you introspection means when you examine. Okay, like for example, I told you before, like a native speaker knows without having any like proper education and proper like training of a language that he is talking. He had intuition, like judgment, and he knows from the very nature of the sentences that whether a particular sentence is right or wrong. Like say for example, a boy and he is a Pathan, okay, but if you, and he is very young, he does not know anything, if he does not know Alif B of a language, okay, or any other things, he is like very small, young, like 6 or 7 years of age. But if you say a sentence in a wrong way, or says or like link something to something that is not like the quality of that, okay, like for example you say like the car is barking, so it would be looking like to be very stunning for him because it doesn't match. So this is intuitive, okay, he knows that a car cannot bark rather than dogs bark. Okay, so introspection means to examine. When you properly examine, you grow up and then you like do some kind of things, these kind of things, to know whether something is grammatical or ungrammatical. Then you will have to ask yourself about ask your own knowledge of your own language that you knew from your society and from your surrounding and from the people living around you, that whether a particular sentence is right or wrong. For this reason, such judgment are sometimes called introspective grammaticality judgment. Okay, so these are the name given, rather than I should put it in these things in like inverted commas, then you would better know like introspective grammaticality judgment, that a person who like can judge something whether that is wrong or right on the basis of his knowledge, intuitive knowledge from his own language. So the context in which the sentence was uttered, and the second thing is the context. You know, like context is very much important, and context provide like a kind of like ground for a sentence. Okay, so you're talking to someone and you're talking to him from particular angle or from particular position, okay, so that will be acceptable unless a person if a person from outside look at the things that is going on between, that is the conversation that is going on between two people, and he does not know about like the context of that, he will never ever be able to properly judge what's going on there. Okay, so you should know, everybody know about the context. I would give you one example that yesterday or day before yesterday I just watched these videos. Some of the people, these are part2 videos, and some of the people were having their Kalashnikovs and these kind of things, guns, and they were standing by the side of the road, and there came by a car, and in the car there were 4 or 5 people sitting, and they were taking from them money, or like they were robbing them, and he was talking to him, give me 100 rupees, and he then denied it, 200, and then 300, and then ultimately he reached to 1000 rupees, and I was really stunned that what's going on like that. But later on, when I went down to the comments, and I realized and I know that this was just a film shooting, so I didn't know about the context. I took things wrongly. So if you don't know about the context of something, you cannot realize the things, okay, the real nature of the things. So these are the two things. One thing is being a native speaker, and second to know about the grammaticality is to know about the context. Okay, now the next is criteria that do not determine grammaticality. यानी कुछ चीजें ऐसी भी हैं that does not determine the grammaticality. In his study of grammaticality in 1950s, Chomsky identified 3 criteria which cannot be used to determine whether or not a sentence is grammatical. Number 1, whether or not the sentence is included in a corpus. So corpus, what is meant by corpus? I have prepared for you the meaning. You should know about it. Corpus means the collection of written or spoken material stored on a computer or used to find out how knowledge is used, or a collection of single knowledge or writer's work. यानी एक कलेक्शन है किसी भी पीस का, उसकी सारी बॉडी को हम कॉर्पस कहते हैं, और ऑफ राइटिंग अबाउट ए पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट. सो आई जस्ट वांटेड टू नो अबाउट दिस कॉर्पस. यू शुड नो अबाउट इट, द कॉर्पस. हियर वेदर और नॉट द सेंटेंस इज इंक्लूडेड इन ए कॉर्पस, and whether or not sentence is meaningful, whether or not the sentence is statistically probable. Now let's come what does it mean by all these 3 things. To illustrate these points, or this point, Chomsky created the nonsensical. Nonsensical means यानी जिसका कोई सेंस नहीं बनता. Sentence in one. Down you look in one. ये जो एक दिया गया है नीचे इसमें ब्रैकेट में, colorless green idea sleep furiously. तो उन्होंने ये आइडिया दिया which does not occur in any corpus. और इस किस्म की अब सेंटेंस है, वो किसी भी लैंग्वेज के कॉर्पस में मौजूद, किसी भी रिटन लैंग्वेज में you will not find this kind of sentence. कि colorless green idea means colorless भी है और green भी है. Grammatically it is right. Ideas, green cannot be ideas, colorless cannot be ideas, and sleep cannot be furiously. So all these are nonsensical. Okay, so इस किस्म की कोई सेंटेंस कहीं भी नहीं, is not meaningful and is not statistically probable. Statistically probable का मतलब ये है कि यहाँ पर statistically color और green का आपस में कोई नहीं बनता, ideas का और sleep का कोई नहीं बनता. So these some kind of things. But however, the form of this sentence is judged to be grammatically by many native speakers of English. Okay, the form of this is judged to be grammatical. यानी इसका जो form है, structure है, grammatically it is right, semantically it is unacceptable, and it is not like in the corpus. It's not in any language. Nobody has ever used this kind of a sentence. This is not acceptable because the ideas are statistically and they are not existing, or statistically improbable, and they are wrong in nonsensical. Okay, it does not occur in any of the corpus. In language की किसी बॉडी में इस तरह का कोई वो नहीं है, सेंटेंस इस्तेमाल पहले नहीं हुआ. Such grammaticality judgment reflect that the fact that the structure of sentence 1 obeys the rules of English grammar. This can be seen by comparing sentence 1 with sentence 2. Both sentences have the same structure and both are grammatically well formed. यानी grammatically तो they are both well अच्छे बने हुए हैं. Harmless young children sleep quietly. अब ये completely सही है. Colorless green ideas sleep furiously. ठीक. अब ये जो है इसमें आप देखें तो it's looking like to be a kind of ridiculous, लेकिन grammatically they both are right. क्योंकि harmless and colorless, these are adjectives. Young and green are adjectives. Idea and children are noun. Sleep is like verb, and furiously and quietly both are adverbs. So both are used in the same way. A grammatical string is not necessarily meaningful as now look here. यहाँ पर क्या कहते हैं कि grammatical जो होता है वो string जो है वो sometimes not necessarily meaningful, शायद उसकी meaning expected यानी जिस तरह की होती है वो ना हो, as exemplified by Chomsky famous sentence, colorless green ideas sleep furiously. However, language speakers can still understand nonsensical strings by means of natural intonations. ये मैंने बताया ना कि नेचुरल जो आपकी इंट्यूशंस हैं, इंटोनेशंस हैं, तो आप आइडिया यू कैन जज इफ यू आर लाइक ए स्पीकर, यू हैव अ लैंग्वेज एंड यू आर having a language. Definitely every person has have some mother or native language. He is like a native of some language. So by your natural intonations you can judge that whether these kind of things, adjectives can be used with particular things or adverbs can be used for particular object or not. Okay, so this is in intonations. Okay, speakers are able to recall them more easily than ungrammatical sentences. Now here is another thing कि एक तो मीनिंग में गलती हो जाती है और एक अनग्रामेटिकल सेंटेंस होता है. ये ग्रामेटिकली तो करेक्ट है, ओके, बट दे आर नॉनसेंसिकल. और ये नॉनसेंसिकल सेंस जो सेंस है ये who judge it? If a person does not know about a language and the meaning, he would consider it right. लेकिन जो नेटिव स्पीकर है या जिसको मतलब आता है किस सेंटेंस का, वो स्ट्रेट अवे कहेंगे दिस इज रॉन्ग, अदरवाइज इट इज ग्रामेटिकल. ओके, लेकिन दूसरे हाथ पर अगर कोई इफ देयर इज अ वेरी ग्रामेटिकल मिस्टेक इन समथिंग एंड द मीनिंग इज क्लियर, then it is very difficult for some of the people, even for the native to like correct it or to like what we call it to recall them more easily, कि वो अपनी चीज़ों को आहिस्ता आहिस्ता to collect all of the information about a language and then say that this is wrong. यानी अगर if you know about any new language, like for example I am learning Arabic, okay, so if this kind of things happen straight away I would know there is something wrong. लेकिन अगर कोई ग्रामेटिकल गलती होगी तो फिर उसमें बड़ा मसला होगा. आई विल देन सी गो बैक एंड आई विल कलेक्ट ऑल द आइडियाज अबाउट अ लैंग्वेज और अबाउट माई लर्निंग दैट आई हैव लर्नड अबाउट अरेबिक लैंग्वेज. सो आई वुड से हो दिस इज नॉट लाइक दैट, दिस शुड बी लाइक दैट. सो जो ग्रामेटिकल चीज़ें हैं उनको जज करना बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल होता है एज कम्पेयर टू द नॉनसेंसिकल सेंटेंसेस. नॉनसेंसिकल सेंटेंसेस कैन बी इजीली जज्ड. सेंटेंस नंबर 1 इज ग्रामेटिकल येट अनएक्सेप्टेबल. ग्रामेटिकल तो है लेकिन अनएक्सेप्टेबल है. इस किस्म की चीज़ें तो कभी नहीं होती. बिकॉज द प्रैग्मेटिक ऑफ द वर्ब स्लीप कैन नॉट बी एक्सप्रेस. प्रैग्मेटिक का मतलब है कि उसकी जो रियलाइजेशन है किसी चीज़ की, यानी कोई एक्शन है ना, तो अगर फॉर एग्जांपल आप किसी से कहें कि गो, तो गो का मतलब यहाँ से जाना, वो डांस शुरू कर दे, तो दैट डांस डज नॉट लाइक प्रैग्मेटिकली शो दैट what you ordered by word go and the person is like doing dance, so that action and that word that doesn't match. Okay, so that is what pragmatic of the verb means. So pragmatic of the verb sleep cannot be expressed as an action carried out in furious manner. जब आप सोए भी हुए हैं उधर से आप फ्यूरियस भी हैं, that is not possible at all. Hence a native speaker would rate this sentence as odd or unacceptable because the meaning does not make sense according to the English lexicon. क्योंकि lexicon में तो जो word है वो उसकी meaning वो नहीं दे रहा.